Paul, we've been in love with Carnival Cruise, the stock symbol CCL, for many weeks and months now.
For months.
And you don't like to say that you guys sort of got it right, because I think of you. I watched obviously our own video, our own analysis of CCL, why you were a big fan of this company and why I bought stock, you bought stock, my 10-year-old son bought stock. He loves watching it. Revisit why you're in love with CCL. I've been trying to explain this to people on the street. Why are you in love with this company, even though it's drastically in the tank?
Well, remember, I will say I was right, but it's premature for me to say I was right.
You have a problem with that, Paul. Keep going.
It's premature. It's funny. After CCL went to $20 a share, I got messages on YouTube. Paul, you were right. You're right. Mm-hmm. No, I wasn't right. I still think it's a $50 to $60 a share stock.
What was your stance a month ago on CCL?
CCL, there's a bunch of cruise lines out there. Carnival is the biggest in the world. They have over 100. They have 100 ships, or a little over 100 ships, and they also have the least amount of debt relative to their size. And I thought to myself, okay, are cruise lines going away?
Nope.
I mean, anybody who thinks that, unless they're crazy or some fortune teller who actually can tell the future, I just don't think cruise lines are going away. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to bet on cruise lines not going away, who am I going to bet on? I'm going to bet on the financially best ones. And CCL had the lowest debt. When they're the biggest, they had the most revenue, the most profit. It all worked out that way. So if anybody's gonna be able to survive, it's CCL. Okay? Then I looked at their stock. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hate looking at charts from a standpoint of just looking at them for a reason to buy, unless I'm looking at technicals.
Sure.
Let's look at this price right here. What was this price right here? 72? Yeah, $72 a share. And it hit as low as like $7 a share. Mm-hmm. It's a 90% drop. COVID hit, right? Now this high, though, at $72 a share, was in 2018, early 2018, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. COVID hits, and all of a sudden cruise lines get shut down, people can't travel, it plummets, understandably so. I think they were losing $600 million a month, and they still continue. Now there's been some good news lately with Pfizer and Moderna coming out with their vaccines. It'll get people on cruises faster.
Yes.
They're starting to sell more. They're starting to sell for future cruises much more. So it's starting to pick up. But I made this bet on a $17 billion company. I think it was like $12 billion when I started buying it, or $13 billion when I started buying it, that when things do recover, which will eventually happen,
yep,
this will be a big benefit, because people will start going on cruise going, oh, you know what? We saved all this money. We didn't do this on these trips. We weren't able. Let's go buy a ton of trips. And I think it'll really rebound. Do I think they're still... Now, Carnival Cruise Line also just issued $1.2 billion in new stock. That dilutes current owners. They're adding new stock. It means, we talked about before, we want stock to decrease. They're increasing the number of shares outstanding.
So this is one of our pillars, guys. Pillar number 5 in our analysis is we want the number of actual shares out there in the world going down, and Paul's saying that they're increasing. So what does that increase mean? What are they doing with that, Paul?
That means your one share now buys less of the company than it did before. It dilutes you, as they're saying. So if there were 10 shares before and you own one, you own 10% of the company. If they now increase it to 15, you now own 1 out of 15 shares of the company, which is about 6.6%. So you went from 10% ownership to 6.6, owning the same number of shares. Mm-hmm. So is that a bad thing? Yes. But in this situation, they were raising cash for other reasons, and I'd rather have them do that, I think, than increase the debt. Because the debt comes with other covenants and other banks that can sit there and say, you didn't do this, we're gonna take this money away from you. In this situation, I was actually okay with that as a way to raise capital to fund more losses in the future while they wait to get back to normal. Mm-hmm. So I'm still making the bet that at some point here in the future, so I'm gonna go look at their stock prices in general. They're selling at a level that was below 2009 recession and almost below even levels of 2001 and 2002. Mm-hmm. So basically, you have to go back like 23 years to hit the levels that were consistently below where they are now. Consistently below. So let's go look at the financials. Now look here, guys. Let's go back to 2000. They did $3.8 billion in revenue. And now they're doing $20 billion.
Amazing.
That's almost 6 times, that's 6 times more revenue. And they're selling for the same. They're selling for lower than they were in 2000.
Okay, so slow down. What exactly? That sounds phenomenal, right? Like,
yes, and I look at it going, okay, take the emotion out of it. Mm-hmm. If you had told me that I could buy a company for less than what it was selling for in 2000, But even though revenue's gone up 6 times, would I be happy? Now, that in and of itself isn't a yes answer. But coupled with what's going on in the world and people's overreaction to things, yes, I do think that's a reasonable reaction. That's a reasonable assumption. Now, another thing I'll tell you to show emotion, look at year to date, guys. The low was $7.97, call it. No, $7.80. And they're currently at $18. That's over double. So you're telling me that from the end of March, early April, to now, the company has over doubled its value. No, it's all perception.
No, yeah. No,
it's all people's perception about the future. And I'm just saying that even today's perception of the future is worse than it actually is going to be. Because I do think we will get back to a more normal way of living. And I think this company will still be, even with the diluted shares, $45 to $55 stock. It's not going to rebound like Southwest did as fast as it did. But this will take some time. But once you start seeing people get back into, let's go look at the financials here. Let's go see how it's played out. Let's go quarterly.
Quarterly, yeah. While Paul's looking at that, make sure you smash the like button. All we ask, pretty please with sugar on top, is to hit that thumbs up, and YouTube will reward Paul for all of his hard work in giving you this free analysis of a stock. Go ahead, Paul.
Look how bad this revenue is. Quarterly, it went from $4.8 billion down to $31 million. Now, revenue here is different. Their revenue is only based on money actually earned. They can bring, let's say you go in there and say, hey, Carnival, I'm gonna spend $1,000 for a trip. You give them $1,000. That's not $1,000 in revenue. That's $1,000 they owe you. When you take the trip, that is earned money. That's the way the business, that's the way that their books work. So this is where I'm gonna go to the cash flow statement.
Yeah, free cash flow.
I wanna see their free cash flow. And this is annual. Let's go to quarterly free cash flow because we wanna see how it's been doing lately. Okay, so their quarterly free cash flow. It's about the same. It's still losing about $700, $800, about $800, $900 million a quarter in free cash flow, right? But I look at it also saying, well, let's see, where do I do this? I'd have to look at this. I don't know how to find out where their free cash, they still have a quarter. So this quarter ends this month. I'll be very interested to see how the quarter ends. What do they report? How are their sales going for future trips? So I hate to sit there and prematurely say, well, but at the same point, the free cash flow is still bad, but it's on par with what they said it was going to be. And it's a waiting game. This stock is completely going to be a waiting game. If you are buying the stock for less than a 3-year outlook, I think you're making a mistake. I think this is going to be a multi-year outlook, and you're just sitting there saying, I'm making certain assumptions. It's cheap enough. I'm going to be a buyer of the stock as it goes lower and lower and lower. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I believe that if I found 30 stocks like this with this exact same situation, I'm going to make an above average return on my money.
For the normal investor watching, have they already missed the boat, Paul? No pun intended, from 7 to 18?
No, they haven't. I mean, I didn't buy at 17. You're never ever going to buy or sell at the low and high, ever. Just get that out of your mind. It's not going to happen.
Okay, well, yeah, that's interesting. You always tell me, I always tell you you always tell me that everyone thinks they can time the market, which I think I can do. I don't know why, but
we all think that.
Yeah, why is that?
Because we all have a lot more confidence in ourselves than we should.
I guess that's true.
All right? My idea of doing really well in investing is beating the market by 2 to 4% a year. That's really, really good. I will make billions of dollars if I do that. And I have been able to do that over long periods of time. Last 4 years? No. 5 years? Terrible. I've lost the market by double digits every single year. So, but I look at a long time horizon and I think to myself, okay, if I can do this. Now I look at CCL and say this is a company that over the next 5 years I think will do better than most companies in the S&P 500. Could I be wrong? Absolutely could be wrong. Absolutely. But I'm looking at saying, it's just like blackjack. When you're playing blackjack and the dealer shows a 10 and you have 16, what are you supposed to do?
Stay.
No.
Hit.
You hit every single time. Will you always win?
No, of course not.
Of course not. But if you want to lose the least amount of money, you hit every single time. But you'll have people at the table going, I don't feel this right now. I'm going to stay. And those are the people that do this all wrong. And that's everybody in the world. I remember I was telling somebody recently about this, that whenever I play blackjack, that's when I first realized the discipline I have. Now that I look back on it, I look at people going, but the book says you hit.
Yeah.
Why are you questioning this? And they get it right. And they're like, see, told you. I'm like, great, you told me this time, but If you run it 1,000 times, you're
Sure.
going to lose over the long run.
Same thing with poker, right? Yeah.
Same thing with poker.
Yeah.
Can you win on a pair of deuces, pocket deuces?
You can, but
Of course.
the numbers,
But if you were to have pocket deuces and go all in every single time, what's going to happen to you?
you're not lasting too long.
You're not going to last too long. And that's the whole point. Why are you laughing? Oh, welcome to my world, bro. I've gone all in on like king and 7. Like, come on. I mean, I'm the worst poker player in the world.
Paul, I thought you'd be good at it, but I do see your
I'd
discipline
be
waver.
good at it because if I knew the numbers better.
Yeah,
Like when
yeah.
I hear you and MJ talking about the numbers, I go, shit, I need to learn that. Like, I don't understand the numbers very well. If I don't understand the numbers very well, game over. But I have gotten better at it.
But if you're watching the show, you will always understand the numbers of these companies that were brought to you by your Uncle Paul.
And hit the like button.
Make sure you smash that like. Paul,
we're still
Carnival,
going, right?
No, Carnival Cruise, we're done, baby.
We're done?
Well, your final thoughts.
Okay, my final thoughts are, I think that even buying it at 18, you're going to do well in the long run. I'm not telling you to do it though. Go do your own homework. I don't want you to tell me later. Oh, all these people are messaging me like, oh, I bought Carnival Cruise. I'm like, did you do your research? Yeah, I did my research. I'm like, no, you
They
didn't.
watch this show.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, I'm going to be wrong a lot. I have other ways of making money where I could. The other thing is this. I told this to a friend of mine yesterday.
Go on.
If I even match the market, I prefer that because I think my risk is lower. So even if I match the market, people look at me and go, Paul, you matched the market. Yeah, but I bought companies that I thought were less risky. So I'm okay with making the same amount of money as the market as long as my risk is lower, as long as my deviations on my returns are lower. That's the thing that's different. Everybody else looks for where do I get the most return. I look at it and go, no, where do I maximize my risk and reward? That's what matters to me. I think CCL is a good risk-reward proposition.
Thanks for joining us on the Everything Money channel with Seth and Paul. Smash the like, subscribe. Love you guys.